Okay, guys. I made Prasad as a presenter, and we are recording, and we should be good to start our Selenium thing. Okay.
Right, sure.
You can send me like email or like call me if you have any issues or something like logging in or like that. We can figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Good. And Prasad, like try to mute the people. Basically, I think today you are not the admin, right? Okay, from tomorrow you can mute all people and start the class. So that as we are recording it, we can make it like a noise-free sessions, so that when the candidates listen to it, it will be very good.
Right, sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's Jaipal, for you. Let's just start the basic introduction of the Selenium actually. So Selenium is kind of an open source tool. That's why we are just people now moving from QTP and those tools to this such kind of automation tool named Selenium. Selenium is generally a combination of 4 different tools. It's a toolkit actually. If the word states like Selenium, right, it's not only the Selenium comes in the picture, it comes with the 4 different kits. What are those? One is Selenium IDE, another one is Selenium RC, another is Selenium WebDriver, and the grid. So every 4 different kits have the different purposes. Let's say the Selenium IDE is only the record and capture playback tool. It is only compatible on the Firefox browser. The main purpose of this kind of tool is GUI testing, right? Then the Selenium RC came into the picture. The RC stands for Remote Control Server. Selenium IDE is known as the version 1.0. Then they have applied some improvements in the version in the Selenium IDE, and they have tried to make it possible to do a cross-browser testing. So the Selenium IDE was only compatible with the Firefox as an add-in, but later on, because of using the Selenium RC, people now even can able to do the cross-browser testing on the variety of browsers. But in the Selenium RC, every time we have to start the server, let's say. Like even it's kind of a development thing. Like if developers are doing something, development is going on. So most often whatever the development is going on, they will first try to run their own code on their local server. They will not try to run the main code or the whatever the development they have done on the main server. They will just start the server in their local system, and then we will try to see the impact what actually is giving as a result. If it gets confirmed, then and then we are moving live. So it's the same thing in our Selenium RC as well, as like whatever the script we will write, right? Whatever the script we will perform to do the automation, to run a specific script, we need to start the server. So that was the case. That's why people now moving from Selenium RC to the WebDriver. Selenium RC is quite not that much popular nowadays because of the limitation that we have to start the server every time. Whereas in the WebDriver, we actually don't have to start the server, and though we can do cross-browser testing, right? Also, like we can perform or we can do the testing on the variety of browsers, even in the devices as well as, like I can do the automation on the iPhone and the Android devices as well as with the Selenium WebDriver. So that was the biggest advantage of the Selenium WebDriver. Another thing, we can define some advanced frameworks as well as. We'll see how we can define the advanced frameworks, right? And the grid. What is grid stands for? Selenium grid stands for? Selenium grid generally stands for the most often, if you want to perform your same scenario or whatever the automation you have performed on the specific browser, if you want to perform the same scenario on the variety of system or the OS, then you can do the same by using Selenium grid. So this is all about the basic intro regarding the Selenium course, or we can say we are doing the walkthrough on it. Like the Selenium, it stands for like the open source tool, and it gives you a very good leverage of defining your different types of automation scripting on the variety of browsers as well as the system by combining put together as the Selenium toolkit. What are the prerequisites that we need to go for if I want to learn my Selenium from the scratch? Right. So for any automation tester, automation it's kind of a added advantage of the development. So at least you have to get familiar with the basics of any damn technology. Most often, let's say if you are dealing with the HP quality, HP Quick Test Professional tool, that is also the another testing tool for the automation named HP Quick Test Professional. So even if you can observe in the HP Quick Test Professional, it is the first thing is it get quite paid, right? That's why the people are not sometimes can able to afford the license of it. The another thing is we need to understand the VB scripting first. So similarly in the Selenium as well as, no doubt it's open source, but we need to get familiar with one of the, we can say the technology that helps you out to go ahead with your testing in your automation. And that is, as a prerequisite, we are using a Java technology. So as just we came across the point, like we have to cover up our session as early as possible so that we can just move on to the Selenium WebDriver more rather than just focusing on the Java basics. So what we will do, we will try to get familiar with the Java on the basic level. That is quite help you out to go ahead with your Selenium path. We will not we will not involve too much in the advanced level of the Java, right? We will just get familiar with the details that can help you out to continue your testing in the Selenium actually, right? Because if we will go and more focus on the Java, then we are actually becoming the Java developer. We don't have to do a Selenium anymore, right? So actually we don't have to get expertise on the Java, but whatever the Java fundamentals that can be shared to you, those will gives you enough confidence to create your automation script in your Selenium WebDriver actually. Because Selenium IDE is all about the record and the playback tool, but yes, Selenium WebDriver is like doing the scripting, right? So like before starting any automation tool, we have to just get familiar with the GUI of that tool. We have to get familiar with the challenges of the tool. We need to understand like what are the basic terms or the prerequisites that we need to follow to adopt a good automation strategies. So that's why we are learning as a prerequisite a Java basics. So any doubt, Jaipal, in this basic overview of the Selenium, or of, and do you have any queries like what can be the challenges other that you can face? Okay, great. So let's start with the basic one. As in the last session we have just mentioned that we have to start with the basics of the Java. So most often Java is a very robust language that gives you a control to define your scripting, or we can say most often we are just dealing with the Selenium. I will not only focus on the Java purely. So whatever I will try to share to you, it will definitely focus on quite related with the Selenium term as well as. So consider that, hello, yes. So consider that most often whenever we are dealing with the Java technology, Selenium, it's a technology, or we can say the tool that gives you a control or gives you a support to define your scripting on the variety of technology, right? The Selenium is a tool which gives you a control to define your scripting in the C#, Python, Ruby, and PHP even, right? These are the technologies that supports actually the scripting in Selenium. But why we are moving on to the Java? Because it's quite robust, it is worldwide acceptable, you can get a good support from these help forums and those areas. So most often whenever you will just try to define your scripting in the Selenium itself, if you are stuck on any one point, you can easily troubleshoot the coding, because the help is really available in the help forums as well as it is quite acceptable worldwide. So that's why people are using the Java. Now to understand the Java, what basics we need to go for? We first have to deal with how we can define and how we can declare a a simple structure of the Java project and the coding. So what I will do in the today session, you can see I'm just opening up one of the IDE. What is stands for IDE means stands for IDE means where you can just play with it. You can just do the coding area. So what you have to do is I'm just closing it, I am just opening it again. You have to either you can just use some notepad, or we can say you can use some wordpad and those things. Let's say I'm just opening up the notepad here, and under that you can do the coding and those things, like whatever the coding of you want to use, like package or something, like whatever the Java coding you want to do, you can do the same in the notepad itself. But as a good developer practice, or we can say as a good tester, automation tester practice, we will use some IDE where you can do the coding. So if your system is of 32-bit, I have my system with the 32-bit, let's say. So what I will do, I have just installed my Eclipse. So what you have to do in your system, you have to, as a prerequisite, you have to download the Eclipse first, or most often the Eclipse Juno or whatever the version you want to download. Right? I just click on the Eclipse official website. You can see eclipse.org/Juno. Right? Just click on to the continue like eclipse.org website, the official website, and from the download section, let's say you can see here the download section is there. From those download section, let's click on the download, and from this download section, just download the Eclipse standard version of the 32-bit or the 64-bit, whatever the version you have. Right? So this is the official website of the Eclipse. It is also open source. So whatever the downloads you will do, right? It will just gives all source for the Eclipse to run on it. Right? So I have just downloaded that Eclipse or the IDE where I can do my Java coding. You can see here the Eclipse JEE Juno for the Windows 32-bit. I will click on the Eclipse, like I'm clicking on the Eclipse, and it's getting opened up. By default it is showing me the workspace where I have to work. I will click on OK. Also, if you can see, the lots of things are going over here once the Eclipse is get opened up. Now let me get familiar with each and every term. At the left section you can see the number of packages, or we can say the number of projects that we have. This is the middle area or the middle section that we have, where we have to do the coding actually. These are the basic outlines, or we can say where the number of class name, package name, and the methods that you want to call, those will be notified. In the bottom section you can see the console here, the declaration or the Java doc or the whatever the problems you will face, those will be notified here. So if you are just running your program and you are just getting any issue, right, then you will just, whatever the errors you will get, it will be printed here on the console. Right? So let's get familiar with this, how to create the project in the Eclipse, and what are the basic hierarchy that we can follow as a Java developer, or we can say the automation developer actually. So first have to create the project. So I will click on the new, or either you can just go into the file menu and the new and just click on the Java project. Give the relevant Java project. Let's say I'm just giving like session 1, let's say, for the Java. So I'm just giving a project name here, and I will click on the next, and I have to click on the finish. You can see my project name is get added, where it will show me the JREs, like the related Java files that is supported over here. Also you can see one folder is named source. Under this specific source I need to create the package of it. You can see, just click on the source folder under the project, whatever the project you have created. Under the specific source folder, just click on the right click on it and click on the new and define the package. highlighted with the brown one. Click on the package. Give the package name like pkg, whatever the package name you want to give. Let's say package. Here I'm giving like package. I'm just clicking on the finish. So my packages get added so far in the source folder. This is my project name. This is my source where my all coding will be there of my, whether it's kind of a Java coding or whether it's kind of a Selenium coding that will do. And this is my package file. So far we have defined the hierarchy like project under the source and the package. Still we are not able to see the Java file where we actually have to do the coding. Let's say if I will click on it, let's say I'm just closing this one. If I will click on it, I can't able to see the area where I can do my coding, right? So what I will do, I will just click on new and I will click on the class with the green icon. You can see I will just click on the package. After that I will just right click on it. I will click on new and I will click on the class where I need to give the class name. Let's say I'm just giving a class name like hello world. I want to simply print my hello world on my console, let's say. So what I will give in my Java, so I will just click on the finish and my class is get added. Now I can see the area where I can perform my coding or whatever the syntaxes I want to write. So make sure that the very good note we need to take care here is that whatever the package name you are giving here, the same package name should be here, like package and the package name, this one. So if I will just write it down some different name, then definitely it will gives me an error here with the red mark, right? And you can't able to run your code. So what you need to do, just make sure that whatever the package you are defining, the same package name should be there over here in your coding as well as. Let's say if you are just defining some another class name, once you are just there in the coding, then also it will show you the error. So make sure whatever the class name you will define, this class name should also similar to the name that you have defined whenever you have created it. Let's say later on if you are just facing any challenges in the errors, it will show you in the red mark next to the given line regarding the error that we have faced. So that it is showing like the public type whatever we have given must be defined in its own file. So I will just like, I'm just clicking on it and it is showing me like whether you want to rename the compilation unit to something like that or whether you want to rename your type to the hello world. So ideally I want to, let's say, rename my type to the hello world. So I will just click on it and it will get resolved. Right, so far so good. Hope whatever the project creation I have shown to you, that is quite clear to us. Like first we have to create the folder. Under the source folder we need to create the package, and under the package we need to create the class file or the Java coding file where actually we have to deal with the coding. Any doubt guys? You can just ping me back so that we can continue ahead for the same. Guys, so should I go ahead, right? Okay, great. So consider that now as a beginner, what is the basic thing that I need to define? Like I need to simply print my whatever the text I have. So I will try to deal with the hello world. So what I have defined is, this is the commenting convention that I have done. Like consider that whenever you want to comment any line, if you want to give a single line comment, just give it like /. That specific line is get commented. But if you will try to deal with some multi-line commenting, then just define like this /* and whatever the line you or whatever the code you want to comment, just give it like * or /. So my whole code will be get commented over there. So this is the basic term or coding conventions that we can adopt. Like here I have notified the comment section where I have notified like this is my first Java program and this will print a hello world as the output. So far let's say this is the package name that I have defined. This is the public class, the name you can see as hello world. I have just given the comment so that you can get a clear idea what actually we are trying to do with this code. Now I started the main method. Yes, very interesting thing. Once you will define the package, once you will define the class, you have to define one main method as well. As without the main method, you can't actually run your coding of Java. So at least one main method will be always there in your Java coding. And what is that? Public static. Static is the keyword that whatever the method I am trying to access, that is fall under to the public. We can say public data type, or we can say the constructor. So public static void main, then string arguments, like whatever the arguments I am trying to give, those are in the string type, right? So right? So consider that this is the basic main method that I want to define in the Java coding. That is stands for public static void main and the string arguments. Then let's say try to define the same. Let's it at our here like public static void main string arguments, and then here I'm giving one package. So far so good, no errors are there. Simply I have defined one method here. You can define the same comment here, like this is my first program. So I'm just giving the comment here, like this is my first program, let's say. Right now, if I want to print any damn thing on my console or on my output, what I need to do to print it? I will give it like system dot, you can see it gives some intelligence to do the coding very easily. So that's why this that's why we are using such kind of Eclipse and this Selenium WebDriver coding area. That's why we have picked as a Eclipse. Like if I will just do the same coding in my notepad, it will definitely not gives me an intelligence like what can be the another code I have to complete with it. But if I will simply press dot even in my Eclipse ID, it gives me intelligence so that my coding will be done very easily. So let's say if I want to print any single text on my console, I will give it like system dot out dot. There are lots of arguments over here that is coming into as an intelligence. I want to print something, so I will just try to find the print. Let's just scroll down a bit more and try to find the argument that printed on the console. So I'm just giving like public void println, which prints the values on your console. I'm just clicking on this println, and then make sure whatever the coding you are doing, you will complete your coding with a semicolon. In the double quotation, just give whatever the thing you want to print on your console. So I'm just giving like session 1 for Java basics, let's say, right? And I'm just saving this code, right? Here I have just printed the same like the hello world. Let's try to close this one and try to run this hello world, and I will right click on it. How to run this case? Either you can just go into the run menu bar and you can click on the run. If not, just you can right click on it and you can just run as Java application. You can see here the option named the Java application. So I will click on the Java application, and on the console I can see the session 1 for Java basics. So it's a very basic coding. Like I can define the package, then I have defined the class of it with the good name. Make sure whatever the name you will give for the class, it should be quite intelligible, right? So that even any person can understand what actually you are trying to define from your code, right? Then like to print any damn thing on your console, just use the system.out.println. That is a supported method of my Java to print on my console. And then after I have given a text over here. So whatever the text I will give, it should be in the double quotation because I want to print it. If I will give it like this, it will definitely give me some error. You can see it, like it's showing me like just create the local variable or something like that, right? So what I will do, I will just make sure double quotation here if I want to, whatever the thing I want to print it over here, and then I will just run this code with right click, run as Java application, and this is how the text is get printed over the console. Clear? Then what if, let's try to deal with some another thing as well as in the Java itself, right? This is another term that is known as my data type. What is the data type actually stands for? So the data type is the thing by which you can store the values or the different types of values, which defines you or gives you a clear vision. Like whenever you will try to store any damn thing, then we need to get familiar with the fundamental of the data types and the variables. These are two terms. Now what is the data type actually stands for? Data types gives you idea what type of data you want to store actually. And what is the variable? The variable is the bag, or we can say the place where we can store all those values, right? So ideally I have created another package over here with the class name data type, right? And I have again one main method here. So far this is the basic skeleton that you need to follow at least. Just define the package name and define the class name. Those will be directly come into the picture. Then after you need to define the method or the main method, that is my public static void main with the string arguments. Then just give the brackets over here, and then whatever the types of brackets you are opening, like here you can see 1 and 2 brackets are get opened up. Close the relevant brackets as well as, like if I will not close any bracket, it will also give me the error over here. Like if you will click on this error, it will give you a syntax error, like insert some additional like braces to complete your class body. So I will just give it like this, and then after that error is get resolved. So it's quite very sensitive. Like it's also a very good intelligent Eclipse ID.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Rishi here. Can we have two packages with one name?
No. All in all, yeah. All in all, whatever the package name you will define, it should be unique. Let's say if I will click on the right click and if I will create the package, and if I will try to use the package like this, the package already exists with a different case. So you can't use the same package over here, right? Because you can't then after access the classes of those package. That's why the Eclipse will not support the same package name over the common project, right? But you can use the same package name in the different project. Let's say here the session 1 is my different project than this Java basics. So I have defined the same package over here. You can see it. But the common
package, it's a different project, so you can use it.
Right. But if you are just in the same project, then you can't use that common package name, else it will be get conflicted. So right, we are in the data type, right? Like what is the data type actually where you want to store your data? So there are variety of different types of data types that is supported in my Java. What are those type of data types are? One is integer, which generally stores my values in the integers, so that can store your 32-bit integer values only. Then what is long? Long is also used to store the values, but it stores the value up to 64-bit. Then this is the comment section, so it will not get executed in the green, and it is for our intelligence. So I will share this code to you as well as, and you can also do the practices after that. Then the double. What double stands for? Yeah, we can store a 64-bit decimal values in the double. Like you can see 56.2354. So this is kind of a double value we have. Then double D2. Like we can use it for integer value too. Like it's not only that by integer thing we can define or we can store the values in the integer. We can use the double for the integer purposes too. If I want to store some specific single character only, then I can use the data type named character. This is the variable actually, I, L, D1, D2. You can give any damn name here. You can give your name as well as here. But ideally this is the variable name that I have defined, and this is my data type. So some variables are there I have defined where I can store my values that I'm giving here. So this is the data type, this is the variable, and this is the value that I want to store in this specific variable. Then Boolean is another type. Boolean generally stands for true or false. So I have just given like true or false. So most often the Boolean is the data type where we can only store the values either in true or either in false. If you want to store some string, then definitely you need to give that string in the double quotation here. But if you want to give the numbers only, then you don't have to give it in the double quotation. So generally this is the string with the double quotation named hello world that I want to store it on the console. So I have stored it in the string variable, and this is my data type that is supported in the Java. You can see strings are the constant, their values cannot be changed, and you can just define and declare it like this. Now I want to print each and every values on my console like correctly. It should give exact result as per the defined data type. Right, so what I will do, I will notify the single common statement same like that I have notified in the hello world. Like I will notify like system.out.println. Then if I want to print the integer value, so I have notified in the double quotation like integer value. Then yes, this is the very interesting thing, plus I. I is my variable and I want to append my this text like integer variable is with my value, like whatever the value is at over there. So how it will look like ideally, I want to see my result in something like this, like integer variable is, that is my basic text, and then after I want to print my value that is stored under the I variable, like 4523 like this. So I will just append, or I will just add that variable over here by plus sign. So if I want to concat two things, like one is string and one is my variable, then I can just give like plus I. Same, I have just printed all the different types of data types over here with all those variables, and I will try to run those now. Let's try to run it, like run as Java application. You want to run the data types? Yes. Let's try to click on OK. Right. On the console you can see it is showing each and every data type that is printed on my console, like integer variable is like 4523, and whatever we have stored for each and every term over my code, those will be printed over the console as well as. Clear? This is like Boolean variable string is, but here we can just mark it like string as, because we are just trying to store the string as well only. So I will just only mark it like string is, and I will try to run it again like run as Java application, and now it will gives all the results. So data type fundamental is all about like whatever the type of data you want to store, just give the data type here and give the relevant variable here by assigning the value to it, like we are assigning the value by equal to, right? Then some another, yeah, any doubt in this, guys? Can we go ahead? Okay, great. The another term is like how to deal with the if-else. Now what is the if-else is actually? So if-else is generally a basic term which gives you a control to define whether you have to pick the first case, or whether you have to move on some second case, or whether you have to move on some third case. So we have the variety of if-else over here. There are some different types of if-else. One is simple if statement. You can see over here simple if statement I have notified here. I will just give you the example as well as. Then another type is if else statement, like if this case is working correctly, we have like it's kind of a decision making thing, right? Let me show to you. Like the very first is if, like we can only have true, We don't have another way on which we can jump over here. The another one is if and else. So consider that. Consider my if part is get failed, then what it will execute. So it will jump on the else part, right? So this is the good advantage of if else. Then what is if else, like this, if else, if else, right? So consider that if part is wrong, else if part is wrong, then else only else part, then only else part will be get executed. And you can derive lots of combination over here. Like it can be a chance that if part is true and other two are false. Then consider that it can be a chance that else if part is true and other two are false, right? So whenever there are lots of condition over there, at the time such kind of if else if or the decision making we need to take care. So let's understand the same in the Java. I have defined the three variables over here. One is integer j equal to 25, integer j equal to 50. So my 50 is stored into the j variable of the data type integer, and k equal to 24. Now if I want to learn the if statement first, so what I have done is I have printed only the basic text, like this is the simple if statement example over here. What I will do, I will give a statement like if I less than j. What is less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and those are known as conditional operator, right? Like to do a comparison, those are known as the comparator and the conditional operators, by which we can define the comparison and we can check the logics. So there are the variety of different types of operators are there. Let me open up those. Right. So for what we have done is we have installed this, like setting up an Eclipse project for the Selenium automation, but we are doing the same for the Java. What is Eclipse? So it is an open source community whose projects are focused on the building an extensive development platform, or you can define your Java coding in the Java IDE. We can configure even the Selenium project, not only the Eclipse or for the Java project. Using Eclipse, it is easy to enhance your recorded script. So ideally, whatever we are learning in Eclipse, it will be also used later on for the Selenium as well as. It's kind of a basic introduction, like go into the downloads page and you can download your zip file, and once you will open up that icon that is marked over here, it will open up that Eclipse. You have to create the folder where this is my, at the left section I can see the package explorer, this is my script view, and bottom section is my console. How to create the Java project? So just click on new, click on the Java project, give the relevant Java project name, and then after we have to configure the jar files, that is the part of Selenium actually, right? Then how to define the package and the class that I have shown to you here, same like we have done recently, and the basic area where you have to do the coding or the Java coding. Now we are just moving on to the Java basics, like this one, the data types that we have recently understand, the operators. right? The multiplication, division, percentage, plus, minus, those are known as my mathematical operators. Ideally, the multiplication, division, and the percentage have some higher precedence in the execution than the plus or minus cases. These are some relational operators like equal to, not equal to means the exclamation mark, equal to, greater. Then programming elements, we are now learning the if condition now. How we can declare the if condition? Like if my name is not equal to the Selenium, then I will simply print on the console like my tool is get changed. Else, in the else part, my tool is okay. Right? So the same thing we are learning, but with some more capabilities. What are those? I just simply printed the system out.println, right? Like simple if statement example. Here you can see like I have started like if I less than j, like if my value that is like 25 is less than 50, then I want to print on the console of the value is smaller than the value of j. So if I want to print my variable over the console, you can see I have concatenated with the plus sign, plus I. So it will grab the value 25 over here. So it will look something like this in the console. Value of I 25 is smaller than the value of j 50. Similarly, I can use that if else condition, like if my I is greater than or equal to j, then it should print like I is greater than or equal to j. Else my I is smaller than the value of j. Also you can use some if else. You can see if, else if, and else part. So let's say how I can define, I can have three values over here like I, j, and k. So I will use like this, like system.out.println simple blank, like the nested if else statement is coming into picture. So if my k is less than I, my value of k is less than value of I. Else if my k can be greater than or equal to I, and. So that is my conditional operator, right? And k is less than or equal to j. You can see over here there are the operators that we have, right? So in this case my value of k is between value of I or in the value of j. And the last part, the else part, we can notify is like my value of k is can be greater than value of j. So by the intelligence that is given here as a value like I, j, and k, we can define some conditions over here with the if else, and you can just, it is not like if else only. You can define the ladder or the nested if else, like it can be like this as well. Let me show to you. It can be like if, then else if, then you can give a number of time else if part, and then else. So there are lots of condition over there going out there. Then at the time you can define such kind of nested if else as well as. So let's try to print on the console and let's see how it gives us a result. Right. The value of
sorry to,
yeah, tell me.
1 second. Before you run, there is a second else if statement where you have given and operator.
Right.
Can we give one more and operator there?
Yeah, just here, like, right, we can give it like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Or do we have to write one more else if condition and print out that result?
Yeah, we can pick any damn approach. We can give it and continue with the existing one, and you can also give it like else if as well, right? So let's say if you have one case where you have to confirm the variety of thing, like it should fulfill these and these and these and these as well. So you can give it and so many times. Okay.
Okay.
So this how we can just get familiar with the basic example of the loop or like the condition. like the if else. The simplest statements is showing like value of I means 25 is definitely smaller than the value of j, that is true. Then if else, like value of I 25 is smaller than the value of j, so in that case it has not executed this if part. Like if I will just make my value like 75, so I'm changing my value with the 75, my I is now bigger than the j. So let's see what it happens. I'm just clearing the output from the console, and I'm just clicking on the run as Java application. Now it is executing the if part, like value of I 75 is greater than or equals to the value of j. Clear? Like it's kind of you have to just change the values over here to get executed the each and every case, right? But this is how we can define if and else condition, and that will also definitely a really good thing if you will just go through this, because in the programming capabilities, whenever we will deal with the Selenium, we need to get familiar with this kind of basics like if else and those loopings and those. Clear? Right. So let's go ahead with some another type now, that is known as the loopings. What actually the loopings stands for? So consider that if I want to iterate something, if I want to repeat some specific functionality number of times on my console, then what thing I need to go for, or what types of things I need to adopt in my Java. So those fundamentals are known as my loopings. There are variety of loopings available in the Java. One is for loop, another one is while loop. Under the while loop we have two things, do while and a while, right, that are known as the entry and the exit control loop. So let's first understand the while loop now. So how the while loops can be defined so far? So consider that I want to iterate my specific value of I number of times, let's say, with some loopings, right? So I have used the while loop here. You can see this is the while loop example. While loop will be executed till condition returns true. And another example I have is do while loop, as I mentioned, like will be executed minimum one time without considering any condition. So how we can define? This is the another type. This is one type of loop, but it's kind of a while loop type, and this is the another type of loop that is known as the do while loop type. So these are the two different types in the common one, while looping. This while loop example sometimes stands for entry control loop, because whatever the condition I am giving here, that is very start here in the very first case. Whereas the do while loop is sometimes known as the exit control loop, because those loopings are generally containing the condition at the existing of the looping. You can see here the while condition is in the very start, so that is my execution is controlled in the entry criteria. So that is why they are notifying this looping as entry control loop. And whereas if I will use some do while looping, then that is known as my exit control loop. So let's understand the both type now, how we can define the loopings actually. So I have notified one variable over here named integer type with the I equal to 0. I have notified like from while is my keyword to notify that I have started my loop. I have iterated it 3 times, like I, like whatever the variable I have I, it should be less than or equal to 3, and I am trying to print on the console by repeating it in my specific scope. So you can see here in my braces I have started my logic that I want to repeat it so many times. So this is like system.out.println, first start your I, and then after I want to increment every value of my I, like if my value is starting from 0, so my 0 is printed, then after I want to increment it. So I++ stands for incrementing your value by 1, right? So similarly I can do the do while as well as I have used some another variable named j. Same, like I want to just repeat my loops till 3 times. I have notified the do statement over here and the logic, and then this specific area is showing you the declaration of the do while loop, and this specific area is notifying the while loop declaration. So this is my variable initialization, system.out.println to simply print my variable over here. I need to decrement it, so I can give like j minus minus, or either I can give like j equal to j minus 1. And as I have mentioned in my do while, my execution will be controlled in the exit area, so it's notifying like while j greater than or equal to 0. Very interesting thing, just complete your semicolon over here. In this while statement, we don't have to complete the semicolon here. If you will give the semicolon, right, it will not go into this code. So in the while, don't give the semicolon after the condition, but in the do while, just complete that by the semicolon. Now let's try to run and see what it happens on the console. Right, it is printing for the while loop example, it is giving the result like 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. And vice versa for the do while, it is starting from the like the lowest one, 3, 2, 1 and 0, because my loop was started from the j equal to 3. Alright, clear in the while loop, guys? Any doubts so far? Should we move ahead for the for loop? No doubts, right? Rishi, do you have any doubt in this while loop? Okay, so let's get started with another loop that is named as the for loop. Yeah, definitely you need to do the practices. Without that, we can't do the expertise over here. So what I will do, I will just give this code to you, as well as you can just by recorded video, you can just get more practices, as well as where I have just gone through the basic 5 code today, and tomorrow we will try to go ahead with some another 5 basic codes, right, of the Java. So this is the last code of today's, that is my for looping. What is for loop stands for? Like if I want to iterate it something number of times, then I can give it like 3 parameters over there as an argument. What is that? First I need to initialize my loop, like from where I want to start it. Then I need to give like what condition that it should fulfill, and I want to give the increment decrement here. So this is a for loop, and this is also a for loop. But what is the difference stands for? This for loop gives a control to start your execution from 0. It will repeat it or iterate it 3 times, but actually 4 times, because we are starting with the 0. So this loop will be executed 4 times, same like the while loop, and every time it will increment same like the while loop, like I++. And we are printing on the console with the system.out.println, and then variable is printed over here plus I. Then I have just given some space over here, and then I have initialized another variable like integer I running from 0, integer k running from 200, and then I am executing some another loop. Let's say for integer j running from the 3, j should be quite greater than or equal to I. So it will check for this case, like whether my value of j is greater than or equal to I or what, and then we are decrementing the j. If yes, we are printing on the j value here, and after that we are just deducting 10 from the k value, and we are printing on the console same like j, we are printing the k on the console like this. So let's try to run this code down for the for looping. Right, the very first loop, like this one, let me just make it quite clear in the writing. You can see for the for loop, this specific for looping, it is giving me a result like from values from starting from 0, 1, 2, 3. Then the another code I have gone through like this, 4, 1, and then we have printed this value of j. You can see the value starts from 3, 2, 1, 0, same like the do while loop. And then we are using the k value, where actually we are deducting some value from whatever the value I have. I'm deducting those value with the 10. So it will gives me a value with the 160 on the console, right? Because my value is 200 in the k, right? And I am trying to redirecting those value with 10. And then I am trying to print my value over here with the k variable that is stored over this k. Clear? So these are the basic coding of the Java that we understand today. We understand the operators, we understand the data types, we understand the basic hello world, we understand the if-else, how to do the conditions, and we understand the loopings. One is while loop, means under the while we have two cases, while and do while loop, and the last one is for loopings. Right? So any doubt or any questions for the today's session, guys? The very first you have to download your Eclipse from your official website, that is eclipse.org, right? Let me just ping that URL as well as just download your relevant version of your Eclipse and then just start by coding the basic codes that I have shown, like the hello world and those things. Right, guys? So let me know if you have any questions or the queries for the today's session, and we will meet tomorrow for the same time with the more few examples of the Java, because we will spend some time on the Java, then we will definitely move on to the we can say the Selenium scope, right? So this is all about for the today's session. Do more practices, do more coding, right, by observing the video, as well as I will share some case studies to you by which you can apply your logics and do the coding at your end, like for the if-else and the loopings. Right? By the end of the session, I will just give you some assignment. Okay. So all the best for that, and let me know if you are finding again. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing. Tomorrow, can you take one of the examples, like reading from the Excel sheet and printing?
Yeah. That will be definitely covered in the upcoming sessions, but I'm just giving from the basic to in that direction. So what I will do, I will just definitely cover up this for loopings and those in the very 2 or 3 sessions. I will wind up those things very quickly, and then definitely we will go on those reading the files from the Java and those things. Definitely I will go for it.
Yeah, not fast, but since I'm completely new to Java, I don't know anything, so I'm learning it from scratch. So it's okay if we go slow, but yeah, I can give you some practical examples which I faced, like comparing the values, comparing the labels from the application.
Right, that will be covered up in the Selenium portion, right? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then taking inputs from the Excel and
definitely.
inputting into the code. Those kind of examples,
Yeah, sure. I have already designed all those codings already here. You can see, guys. So these all are the codings already there over here, like comparing the login. You can see some Excel files over here. You can see some WebDriver codes over here, like where the data files are there, the Excel files from where the data will be read so far. Then some basics Selenium codes, so Selenium WebDriver commands, basic commands. You can see. So all it is already planned, but we have to just go in some good directions so that it will not get so much like oh gosh, it's quite hard for us. But actually it's not hard. We need to give in a good vision, right?
Okay, got you. Okay.
Right. So we'll meet tomorrow for the same time. Hope if any feedbacks for the session, or if you are just looking for something new that is not delivered in the session, just let me know as well, so that we can came on that point as well. Okay.
Okay, got you.
Right. So we'll meet tomorrow for the same time. Thanks for your availability today. Right. See ya soon tomorrow.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye.